again, the Megillah, the most critical point in the Megillah is when Mordechai has to convince Esther that she has to take action. Up until this point, Mordechai was basically the center of the action. After this point, Esther becomes the center of real action. What happens is he has to convince her, and he does. And when he finally does convince her, she has to tell him, "You stand down. You don't know what you're doing in trying to get the Achashverosh to rescind all this stuff." Because Mordechai was from Eretz Israel. He was what's the word? Uh, he had lived in Israel. And to him, a king was approachable. Remember that no matter how bad the Jewish king was, the prophets could approach them. They could tell them, "You're doing something wrong." When Ahab wanted a farm, he went to the farmer, said, I want your farm. How much are you going to sell it to me for?" And the farmer said, It's not for sale. I'm not interested. So he said, "Okay," and left. And his wife, Jezebel, said, "What is this? You mean he said no and you backed down? If my father, who was a real king, would have killed him and taken the farm. What type of king is this?" And that was what Mordechai was used to dealing with. That you walk up to the king and say, "I don't like what you're doing." Well, the Persian king was not a Jewish king. If you ever look at the titles that he would have as, King of Kings, blah, 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 blah. If Mordechai went in and said to him, "This is what you're doing is wrong," it would have been a very short conversation. Mordechai would have been right, but he would have been dead right. Basically, you didn't do that to a non-Jewish king. And Esther knew the workings of the palace. She knew how to approach Achashverosh to get him to change his mind, that all of his foibles. And that's why Esther told Mordechai, "You stand down. This is what I want you to do, but you follow my lead." And Esther takes over in the story. It's her story that she basically is the one who figures out how to deal with the king and how to get him to change his opinion, which is something for us to remember that in the galut here, in the exile, we don't have the power. We have to work to get the government to do what we want it to do. Many years ago, I knew the former chief rabbi of Argentina. He was chief rabbi when Juan Perón was the dictator of Argentina. If he wanted Juan Perón to do something, he would first praise Evita. "Oh, she was such a great woman, so beautiful, blah, 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 blah." He didn't do that because he liked Evita or that he even liked Juan Perón. But he had to make nice to him because he had the power of life and death. And if you want to protect the Jews, you have to realize how to work within the system. Something to think about. Kadosh Rabbanim.